Hey guys, what's going on? I've been getting a fair few requests recently for a bunny hop tutorial video, so I thought I'd take a couple minutes to try and go over some of the basics and how it can be useful in this kind of thing. Um, this is like the 5th time I tried to record a video like this and they always fall apart, so we'll see how this goes. I don't have any script written down or anything, this is all just improvised, so hopefully I can get my thoughts together pretty well. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people want to learn how to bunny hop, and the idea of bunny hopping is that you use air strafing in the air, which is when you turn left and right like this, to gain speed and maintain speed by jumping as soon as you hit the ground. So what that does, if you jump as soon as you hit the ground, basically you don't get the slowdown from when you'd normally, walk on the ground, right? So for instance, if I have my machete out, I can do a jump and then I can start bunny hopping forwards with my yellow boy out, and I'm going to be moving faster than I would if I was just walking on the ground with the yellow boy, yeah? So that's the basic idea of bunny hopping. If you do it well, then it's like just now, that was a fairly good line. That sort of thing is faster than just walking on the ground, even with the machete out. So like, if you can do it well, then it's actually preferable to running, right? Especially if you're going around corners, because that lends itself to having longer air strafes, which means you get more speed and so on. Okay, so if you're not familiar with air strafing, then you should be. This is going to be way too hard for you if you're not. Basically, once you get into the air, you let go of W and you immediately hold A or D, and you turn your mouse that same way. There's kind of a sweet spot in how fast you want to turn your mouse when you do your air strafes, and it's something that you just have to kind of learn by feel, I suppose. What I'm doing now is more or less how it should be. But anyway, so you let go of W, and then you use A to turn left, and D to turn right. So if I'm trying to move in a straight line, then I want to air strafe left and right repeatedly, which is why I do this wiggle that you see here. If I'm going around a corner, there's no need, just go like that. Go around corners like this. So that's all well and good. Yeah, do get used to just like basic air strafes before you try to start bunny hopping. What other tips can I say about air strafing? It can be done in any direction you like, it doesn't have to be directly forwards. This is where you get sideways and half sideways and backwards bunny hopping coming in, which are pretty niche techniques, but I will talk about them a little bit later. So this is a half sideways one. Sorry about my Steam being on. Hopefully I don't get any messages. If I do, I'll turn them off. And then you can do a sideways one like this. And the way that you do that, sorry, I want to turn this off one sec. Oh, again. So yeah, the idea with this is that instead of using A and D, you use, like, for instance, if you're going diagonal, you can use W, D, W, A, W like this or whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that much right now. I want to talk about how to do the jumping. So come to the console and type in bind and wheel down plus jump, or M wheel up if you prefer. If you've already got your mouse wheel bound to like changing weapons, I'm gonna say too bad. Don't do that. It's a bad habit anyway. The reason you want to have it on the mouse wheel, if it's not obvious, is so like when you're near the ground, as you're doing your bunny hop line, as you come close to the ground, you just scroll down on the mouse wheel, and so you're in the middle of your scroll when you hit the ground, and that way you're guaranteed to jump either instantly or just after instantly you hit the ground. Yeah, sometimes you get unlucky if your mouse wheel is particularly stiff in particular, but for the most part it's really forgiving. If you're used to bunny hopping in Counter-Strike, be aware that it doesn't have to be the exact same tick that you hit the ground to get a proper bunny hop in Fistful of Frags. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. So yeah, the idea is that you start jumping around, use the scroll wheel to keep jumping, and then you strafe left and right in the air to maintain or build speed. And that's how you get around with bunny hopping. What was I going to say? Something about the mouse wheel. Oh yeah, you can feel free to keep spacebar bound to jump as well if you like that. Like, I use spacebar all the time when I'm doing my crouch jumps because I find it easier to time it with the crouch if I'm just using one hand, yeah. If I try to coordinate it across two hands, then it gets kind of confusing, and also the activation point is less obvious on the scroll wheel, so it makes it really hard to do jumps like this one up here if I'm trying to use a scroll wheel. Alrighty, so at the start of your bunny hop line, you want to try and get as much speed as you can off the bat. Well, in the vast majority of situations you do, but and there's a few ways you can do it. If you haven't seen my drifting video or done the drifting tutorial in my movement tech practice room, which is super outdated by the way, please don't like take every single word in there. Drifting is still the same, but like a lot of shit in that map is totally outdated, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, if you can do a bit of drifting, then absolutely do that. So what I usually do is, you see when I start my line, I drift a little bit to one side. I start to move diagonally a little bit. So doing the drift there and changing direction just gives me a little bit of extra speed, maybe like 5 to 10 units per second, which you can absolutely feel the difference of, and it is good. So you can do that. Another thing you can do is slope hops, which have been famously indirectly nerfed recently. If you try to do a really aggressive slope hop, then it's not going to work, but that one there, you know, I can get a bit of speed off there. This one here is less forgiving than the normal one in terms of like getting a good hop out of it. Like, that's a stumble because I'm too quick and it's not going to work. On lighter slopes, you know, shallower inclines, it's a lot easier to get them than on these really like steep ones. So if I were to come down here, I wouldn't even think about trying to do a slope off of this rail because it's just too steep and I'm going to be falling a fair way. But with this one here, it'll be quite forgiving, so I can do quite easy slope hops off of this. And then on that third bunny hop, even though it's like a really shallow one, I'm just going above the speed limit anyway, so I can't bunny hop from there. The speed limit is 385 units per second, and that does include upwards momentum, but not downwards. So when you do your bunny hop, like, you can be traveling at over 385 when you're in the air, or even close to it, like 375 for instance, but when you hit the ground and do your bunny hop, that vertical momentum gets added, and then you're going to go over, yeah. So that, again, is something that you just learn by feel, so that kind of sucks. Alright, let's talk about applications of bunny hopping, why you want to do it in the first place. As I said before, you can have like your gun out. So here's me going around the corner. I can have my yellow boy out. I can even fire while bunny hopping, especially with the rifles, because you can see I've got 53 accuracy with this. I can just take shots and it's like fairly accurate. I would say like me shooting this post probably about here, that's going to be a guaranteed hit, I think, when I'm in the air. It's pretty good, right? Like, that's totally respectable accuracy. So you can do that. You can do it to like aggressively push people and that sort of thing. I'm going to put in a clip in this video. I'll just edit it in right here of me doing this. So roll the clip. You're going to see me aggressively pushing forwards. Alright, so in that clip, there's the guy and he's like falling back around the corner. And he's reloading his handgun. I know he's vulnerable. If I were to just stay where I was standing and try and take shots normally, then he'd go around the corner and he'd be able to reload and he can come back out and fight me, yeah? But if I aggressively push him like that, you know, I come out like this, take one shot, and then come in with the diagonal one, just for the sake of a better line, and then so I don't have to go through that fucking bush. Then that lets me get right up in his face and kill him before he can finish reloading. So that sort of thing's great. Also, when you're reloading, you can just keep up the hops. So I'm just gonna go down this way, reload my yellow boy a bit, and it doesn't matter if you're like not that fast, right? Because like you're still moving while reloading, and that's great. So you can see just now I got snagged on the door. As I was coming down here, I was landing like roughly here-ish. So if I were to just keep going that way, I'm going to hit that door frame. So what you're going to do in that situation is just like come away from it and waste some time. So like this sort of thing. From here, turn away and then come back in. So be very careful when you're doing your lines around doorways. There's a lot of like preset lines that you can learn. I don't really have many doorway ones worked out, but this one here in particular I want to show you guys, which is why I'm on winter long. So I'm going to go from here to up there, and this is a really easy and good line that you can do. Okay, and so the one coming off of this roof here was actually a crouch jump, and so at this point I'm going to use that example to talk about a couple crouch jumpy kind of techniques that you can do with your bunny hops. If I want to start a line with a crouch jump, that's fine. You still got all your speed, there's no downside to that. So like I can go over that bench and start my bunny hop line from over there, starting with a crouch jump. If I am in a bunny hop line, I can hold crouch and I'll do a slower but higher jump, which is exactly what I did over here. So I go normal, 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 crouch. I call that technique pogo, like a pogo stick. And I think you can do 2 of those at the moment. Yeah, you do 2 of them, and then you do this thing here, which I call the full crouch jump bunny hop, which is completely silent. That's not just on my end. So you can use that to move quickly and silently if you want to like sneak up on people. And you can just like start it with full crouch jump. First one after your initial jump is going to be a pogo. So that's a pogo jump there, which means you kind of stunted when you begin, but then you can basically just build up speed indefinitely like this, and it's really fun. If you see my video Sneaker, I do a lot of this sort of shit. You saw me before and also just now coming onto this really steep slope. If you angle yourself like this, for instance, then you're effectively making the slope less steep than it actually is, because of how it calculates, I don't know. The angle that you're moving relative to the face that you're jumping on. So if you come at it like this, you can actually still get quite good slope hops off of this without having to like really push it as you would. So like even though it's a super steep slope, you can get like effectively a shallower slope out of it by going at a sharp angle. So bear that in mind if you want to do a bunch of slope hopping. So there's pogo jump. So if you start a pogo, then you're gonna have one high one, one normal one, and then one low one is the way that it goes these days. So pogo, that's high, normal, low. Wait a minute, normal and low should be the same. I've confused myself, sorry. This is probably bullshit that I just said right now. Let me find out how high this is. Oh, okay, so it's the backwards crouch jump. You see I snapped onto this just now? It's the same as the backwards crouch jump, I suppose, but hold on a second. Oh, it's lower. Wow, that's actually really confusing. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. That second jump after the initial pogo is mysterious to me. Honestly, I've used fuck all pogo since it's got updated a couple of weeks ago, so yeah. That's just a shot in the dark for me. So, never mind that point. If I find out exactly how that works, I might get back to you on it, but probably not. Anyway, so that's the idea with bunny hopping. Oh yeah, this is a recurring theme in Fistful of Frags as well, is fucking stupid floors that are like the wrong height in certain places. This happens everywhere, especially on like Robert Lee with the carpets, which are only like 1 unit high, but you still get snagged on them. If you jump into that, then it like stops you, and like that. And it might seem kind of ridiculous for that to happen, but it's actually really common. You've got to really watch out for it, so that sucks. Oh yeah, you can do like 2 crouch jumps in a row like this, just by doing like any old crouch jump, whether it's like backwards or whatever, and then hold it for a pogo, and up you go. And then the one after the next will put you into full crouch jump bunny hop, and you can go around like this, and it's fun. Okay, I think I'm more or less ready to stop talking about bunny hopping now. I mentioned before why the half sideways bunny hop was useful for that one demonstration on Sweetwater when I was fighting the dude, but I'll show you another application of it, which is to give yourself a different view of what's going on. So if I come around here with a normal bunny hop line and I want to go that way, then here's how it's going to look. So I'm not really seeing what's going on here. I do see that very corner, but like only when it's like not really useful for me anymore. So if I do it like this, doing the half sideways, then I can see it a lot sooner, right? So I come around like that, and straight away I've checked this corner. So if I were to come out here, gun out, boom, I can already fight this guy straight away. So like you can be moving, your gun is out as soon as you're around the corner, and you can get super aggressive like that. It's a lot of fun, and it helps out a lot. For W strafing, you can kind of like go around people. You probably need a higher sensitivity than me for that to actually be useful. But well, you get the idea. And then backwards, well, you can get away from people while you fight them. You do need to know what's behind you, so that's really, really difficult shit. I do a little bit of backwards while facing downwards to kind of like stay aware of what's going on. I play with a low sensitivity, yeah, so it's really hard for me to like flick around. And also, if you airstrafe too tightly when you bunny hop, then you're going to lose a lot of speed. So what I do sometimes is I'll like jump forwards and then kind of like cut myself off like this. So I jump forwards, turn not quite 180 degrees but close to it, and then start bunny hopping backwards. And of course you can use that just to like juke people out as well. You can use it to make sharp turns out of the blue. It's great. So you basically just do a bad airstrafe and it's actually useful, which is crazy. Like you can probably even come here and back again. Let's try this. Fuck. Alright, whatever, I'm just fucking around now. Anyway, you get the idea. So you can use it to like see what's going on. Because if you look downwards, you can like sort of see behind you when you're in the area. So that's cool. I do it a lot in like tight, close spaces types of maps, like Robert Lee. It's useful in Robert Lee. Oh, you can start with surfs as well. So I can start a bunny hop line with a surf like this, or on this one here. Well, I didn't get much speed from it, but whatever, you get the idea. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to bunny hopping, I suppose. Obviously it lends itself to the rifles because of the air accuracy, but it is also useful with the handguns. You just have to be a little bit wary of the crosshair time when you hit the ground, yeah. So, for instance, if you're using the Peacemaker, you can use it to do like it's more just a repositioning thing, and it does lend itself to like half walking or whatever the fuck. Anyway, alright, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I think I did pretty good this time. It's quite rambly, it's probably like 15-20 minutes long, but like, come on, what am I gonna do? Write a fucking script? I'm lazy, man. I'm tell you, bunny hop. So hope it helped out for you. Please do learn to bunny hop. It's a lot of fun. You're gonna love it, and it's gonna make you a lot better at the game. So yeah, thanks for watching, I suppose. If you got any questions about bunny hopping, anything that's not really clear, of course leave it in the comments. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.